All right, so back to actually day 1, right? Since we kind of jumped to day 2 yesterday. We're going to practice factoring today with just 3 terms. Okay? Now, we did GCF yesterday. We're going to kind of hold off for a second dealing with more GCFs. I'm going to teach you how to factor with 3 terms. And then on Monday, we'll put the 3 terms in GCF back together again. Okay, we're kind of breaking it apart, and we'll bring it back together. All right. So the bad word is on my board. The 4-letter F word. Review. I just want to, we know how to distribute these, right? I just want to make sure that we're kind of starting to see some patterns emerge. So real quick, I'm going to go through and distribute these, right? So we'll get x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 12. Right? And we put our like terms together. So x squared plus x minus 12. So what we're doing when I ask you to factor, yesterday we factored out a GCF, which was like you just undistributing, right? We can always check it by multiplying it back through. Today we're working on, if I give you this, can you turn it back into the 2 sets of parentheses it started from? That's factoring. It's you taking it back. Real quick, show of hands, how many of you believe you've learned how to do this before? Oh, good. That's really good. Okay. Those of you that have not, no worries. Here in the beginning, I will teach it as if you've never seen it before, okay? Because I know there's always that 1 or 2 that are sprinkled in here that's never done it. And I'm sorry if you're looking at me right now like, oh my God, this is going to be boring. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so let me do a couple here, and then I want to kind of point something out. So we have x squared minus 7x minus 2x plus 14. We have like terms. Right, and then one last one. I promise I have rhyme and reason for my madness right now. Just hang with me. Right, this is all stuff we should be able to do with like pretty much in our sleep at this point, right? Like terms. All right, so the point I want to make from all of this, why I wrote 3 problems and did them real quickly, I want you to see a couple things for me. The biggest thing students mess up on is they have the wrong signs when they go to factor. Your signs are always based, we look firstly at that last sign in all of these. Okay? So if that last sign is negative, where did this number come from, the 12? How did I get 12? What did I do with them? I multiplied them. So how do you multiply to get a negative number? One has to be negative, one has to be positive. So you have to have 1 plus, 1 minus. Okay? So the first thing we're always looking at is that last sign. Because if it's negative, I know when I go to factor and I set up my parentheses up here, I know 1 has to be plus, 1 has to be minus. It's the only way I can get this to be a negative at the end. Now, if the last one's positive, how do you multiply to get a positive? 2 positives or 2 negatives? Oh, it could be either one. Well, look at the other sign then. If I have 2 positives up here, will I ever end up with a negative 9? No. So obviously this one had to be the 2 negatives. This one's positive, so either 2 plus or 2 minus. If I put 2 minuses in, I'm never going to get a positive 11 in the middle. So it has to be the 2 pluses. So the thing I wanted you to see is that we need to look at that last sign first. Think about multiplying to get that number. How do I multiply to get a negative? How do I multiply to get a positive? And then this middle term kind of comes together from the numbers that are in here. Right? You guys see 5 and 6 make 11? They add to make 11, but 5 times 6 is giving me my 30. So they're adding to get the middle. They're multiplying to get to the end. Okay? Same thing here. I have 4 and negative 3 make 1. 4 and negative 3, if I multiply, I make a 12. Okay, so the numbers all kind of work together. All right, so in your notes, you just have kind of a reiteration of the signs, always looking at the last one first and what we just talked about. So I'll kind of jump through that. All right, and we have what's known as like a factoring flow chart just to kind of help you understand where all this is going. So if the directions say to factor, what do you notice is right underneath factor? greatest common factor, that GCF, which we worked on yesterday. Okay, no matter what, that is always the first thing you look for. Always, no matter what. Okay, some students automatically like just start jumping into all the numbers, like playing around with numbers, trying to get it to work. Like, oh my gosh, that number is like 100 and something. Take out a GCF. Makes it much smaller, a lot easier to work with. Okay, so GCFs first. I will tell you today, none of them will have a GCF. Okay, tomorrow they will, but not today. Or Monday. I'm not coming tomorrow. And then we're going to get into today where we have 3 terms. Okay, 2 terms we'll get to next week. But 3 terms can kind of fall into 2 different categories. Okay, the only difference, if you look in here, they're always your x squared term, then your x, and then your c, or your constant, right? So you're going to have a something x squared, something with an x, and then a plain number. They have to be in that order. Do you know what that order is called? Yes. When it goes from the highest exponent down, that's descending order, right? It's going down. Yeah, descending order. All right. Now they can either have where there's, look at the x squared, there's nothing in front of it, or there can be a number there, which represented just as an a. Okay. So the ones that don't have a number are a lot easier. The ones that have a number in front of the x squared a lot of times take a little more trial and error to try to figure out how it works. Okay. So what I always start with, I have you list the factors of a and c. So what do you multiply to get that number? And then what are my options to multiply to get that one? Okay. I'll have you set up your parentheses. We're going to fill in our signs. If that last sign is positive, we know they have to be the same, meaning they're either both plus or they're both going to be minuses, right? Because how do you multiply to get a positive number? They're either both plus or 2 minuses, right? We'll make it positive. If my last sign is negative, opposite, meaning one's plus and one's minus. How do you multiply to get a negative number? A positive times a negative. Right? Then you're going to plug in your factors into, it's called the guess and check method, because a lot of times that's what you're doing. You're guessing which numbers work, plugging them in, you're going to check and see if it actually works. Now, there are other ways to factor. I've seen students being taught other ways. And I tried teaching the other methods once, and I wanted to stab myself in the eye with this pencil. It was painful, and it took so long. But like some students are like, I like to know I do like these 10 steps, and it always works. And I'm like, yeah, but those 10 steps are awful when I can do it in 1. So like, I did it 1 year, and I will never teach it that way again because it was terrible. Especially because then I know what's coming in chapters in the future, and oh my, it just becomes even longer in the future. So in the beginning, you may be like, this is awful and painful, especially if you're not a good guesser in the beginning, but I promise you, you'll get faster, okay? So just hang with me. All right, so here we go. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to start with a little bit one that's a little bit harder because there's a number in front of my squared, okay? So that makes things a little harder, but it's not terrible. So step 1 is to list the factors of a and c. So the first one is my a, right? It's ax squared plus bx plus c, right? This is your b. So how do you multiply to get a 2? Okay, 1 times 2. How do you multiply to get a 12? And then 1 and 12. Now, what I'm going to suggest to you is that you make an ordered list. Because some numbers like 36 has a lot of factors on it. And some people like will spend forever on one problem and they're like, I cannot get this to work. And I'm like, it's because you forgot one of your factors. Like you tried every wrong option. You didn't even write down the right option on your paper. Okay, so notice mine goes 1, 2, 3, right? It's a nice ordered list. Okay. All right, then you will set up our parentheses. And then which sign do I look at? Which one? Which sign do I look at? It's always the last sign. If the last sign is positive, have it over there. They're the same. Are they both plus or are they both minus? Both plus, because are there any minuses anywhere in there? No. So it's got to be the both plus option. If we get our signs right from the beginning, the rest of this isn't so bad. What's terrible is when you put the wrong signs in, so then nothing works because your signs were wrong from the beginning. All right, so my only option, then we plug in our A options go in the beginning part, right? A here, A here. Then what do you think goes in the ends? The C's. The C options go in the ends, right? So these will be where the C's go. All right, so my only option for A is 1 and 2. Okay, so 1x and 2x. Why did I put x's there? Because the original problem, I need to be getting a 2x squared, right? If I go to multiply x times 2x, I'm going to get my 2x squared. Okay, if you leave your x's off and don't put those in, it is wrong. I will count you wrong every time. All right, now here's where we have some options. So on C, I can either go 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and a 4. This is the guess part. Somebody shout one out. What do you want to go with? 2 and 6. Do you want to go 2 and 6 or 6 and 2? Because it makes a difference. Let me show you. Let's start with 2 and 6. Now, I tell you what, at this point, guys, why don't you just look up here and watch me? Okay? Just watch, because I want you to see. I don't want you to focus on trying to write it all down and all of that stuff. Just watch me. All right, so she said 2 and 6. It's a shot in the dark, right? We don't know. So when we go to check this, we distribute again. So x times 2x is 2x squared. I'm looking good so far. X times 6, 6x. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 6 is 12. Like terms, is that going to give me 11x? No, that is wrong. So, but does it make a difference if I did 2 and 6 or 6 and 2? If you change it, x times 2x is still 2x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 6 times 2x is now 12x. 6 and 2 is still 12. Did that make it better? No. So what's that mean about the 2 and the 6? It's not that. Moving on. So that was not a good option. Now, I could be mean and let you guys really just kind of keep going with this and really, like, you want to, like, you know, your pencil, your eye. You get tired of it real fast. Let me give you some advice. I can, like, eliminate a lot of options just by looking at what numbers are up there. I knew 2 and 6 wasn't going to work before I even did any math whatsoever. This original problem, is there a GCF in it? There's nothing that goes into 2, 11, and 12, right? So should I have a GCF sitting in one of these? I should not. If there's no GCF here, which there never should be because you should take it out if there is one, okay? So there's no GCF, there shouldn't be a GCF sitting here. And 2 goes into both of these. Now, we had started out by 2 and 6. I still have a GCF of 2 sitting there. So I knew right away that was not going to work. Without doing any multiplying, no distributing, I didn't check anything yet. I knew it was not going to work. Okay, so 4 and 3, can I put the 4 here? No, because it would put a GCF in there. So I know if I'm going to do it, the 4 has to go here, and the 3 would have to go there. So we see that? Now there's no GCF sitting in here. I've eliminated options without even doing any math. I like that. So x times 2x is 2x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 4 times 2x is 8x. And 4 times 3 is 12. How did we do? Yes, 3x and 8x made 11x. So what is the answer? This is what kills me. Students will do this. They'll multiply all this. They're like, yes, 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. There's my final answer. That's the problem we started with. It's not your answer. Your answer is here. The question asked you to factor it. The factored form is x plus 4 and 2x plus 3. Now, one more question for you. Is that still okay? What's 3 times 5? What's 5 times 3? So does the order I multiply matter? No. Do you see how this is a 2x plus 3? It's still a 2x plus 3. This was an x plus 4. That's still an x plus 4. So as long as each parenthesis is what it's supposed to be, the order of the parentheses doesn't matter. Okay? Had any of you ever learned that trick, those of you who knew how to factor, where like if there's no GCF here, you shouldn't have a GCF sitting in here? Some of you yes, some of you no. See, if nothing else, I just need to like pull all that stuff back out of your head, right? You're like, I kind of remember this. All right, take a look at the next one. Again, we always want to look for GCF first. Does anything go into 4, 4, and 3? No. And I told you we're not going to have one today, but you want to get in that habit. So we want to look for our options for A. How do you multiply to get a 4? All right, and then we look for options for C. How do you multiply to get a 3? 1 and 3. We set up our parentheses, and we fill in our signs. My last one is negative, so my signs have to be opposites. One's plus, one's minus. All right. So we have option now for A. Do you want to go 1 and 4 or 2 and 2? 2 and 2, okay. So 2x and 2x. All right, 1 and 3. Do you want to go 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? Because it makes a difference. 3 and 1. All right. Yeah, when I teach this, I go solely on what you guys yell at me, okay? Like, that's what I usually write up on the board. That's what we go with. All right, so when we distribute, we're going to get 4x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 3. You said it's wrong? Why is it wrong? That gives me positive 4x. Now, hold on. What is the only thing wrong? Because it's a 4x. Now, in this case, switching the 3 and the 1 would work because the first two were already, they were both 2's. But a lot of times they're not the same. So since I got the right number but the wrong sign, flip the signs. Change that one to a plus, change this one to the minus. Because if you kind of look through, that's going to change that to a positive here, and that'll change this one to a negative, which then will make that negative. So if the number's right but the sign is wrong, just flip your signs. Okay? Don't flip the numbers, because a lot of times the A values are not the same number, so then it messes everything up. Okay? Number right, sign's wrong, just change your signs. Again, your answer is here. It's the factored part, not your checking. All right, next one. So, two sets of parentheses. What are my signs? Both plus. Again, because my last one is positive, they're going to be the same. They're either both plus or both minus. There are no minuses anywhere in there, so I don't want any minuses. Options for A. X and X. So like 1 and 1, but yeah, X and X. Options for C. 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. You want to go 1 and 8 or 2 and 4? 2 and 4? Okay, so we check this. We get x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. Like terms, we get 6x. Is that what we wanted? Yeah. Now, notice that one did not have an a term, right? There's no number in front of my x squared. It makes it easier because how many options did I really have to check? I had 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. I didn't have many options. Okay, so when there's no number in front of the x squared, you have a lot fewer things to check and worry about. So those ones are the easier ones. So why don't you guys try this one on your own? All right, guys. My last one was positive, so they're both plus or both minus. In this case, there are no minuses, so I want both plus. Options for A, which is going to be x and x. Options for C, we're going to have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, or 4 and 5. Did you find which one worked? 2 and 10? Again, we can always check our work. So how angry do you think I get when people turn in a paper that has wrong answers on it? I get really mad because you can check, watch your mouth, you can check every single problem, right? I know it works. I know it's good. All right, I'm going to skip that one. Let's jump to the next one. Sorry, overachievers, I skipped. Okay, 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. Right? So options for A, 1 and 2. Options for C, or 1 and 25. Don't forget the 1 and whatever the number is. A lot of times people forget that, and if that's what it's supposed to be, you've written on every other option but the obvious easy one. It makes you feel not so great when I point that out to you. All right. So my last one is negative, which means my signs they're different. They're opposite. One's plus, one's minus. So option for A, the only option I have is 1 and 2. So 1x and 2x. 1 and 25 or 5 and 5? 5 and 5. Do you want to go 5 and 5 or do you want 5 and 5? 5 and 5? Okay. No? You want 5 and 5? All right. 5 and 5. We'll see how you did. All right, so we go to check. We're going to get 2x squared. I appreciate that you guys play along with that joke. Usually kids look at me like, I said 5 and 5. Like, you're not funny. So thank you. I appreciate that. All right, minus 5x plus 10x minus 25. Like terms, you get plus 5x minus 25. How do we do? I got a positive 5x. I want negative 5x. How do I fix it? Swap the signs. Swap the signs. Guys, do me a favor. If your number is right but the sign is wrong, don't touch your numbers. The number was right, okay? The sign is wrong. Change the signs. Whatever part of it's wrong, change that. Okay? Instead of plus minus, minus plus. Just need to switch them. They were in the wrong order. Are we doing okay? This coming back to those of you that have seen this before, I hope. Sadly, no, it's great. All right, on your own. All right, guys. Should this have been an easier one or a harder one? This is an easier one because there's no A term here, right? So when I go to set this up, last one's negative, which means my signs are opposites. One's plus, one's minus. Options here is just going to be x and x. Now here we're going to have 1 and 40, not a 2. 2 and 20, 4 and 10, or 5 and 8. Totally did, didn't I? Thank you. There we go. Thanks. So what numbers worked? 4 and 10? So when we check, hey guys, these do get harder, and I want to be able to arm you with the right tools on what to do when that wrong thing comes up and you don't know how to fix it, okay? All right, so working through this, my like terms are going to give me a negative 6x. So the number's right, but the sign's wrong. So change your signs. That should be my plus. This should be my minus. So you better have an x minus 4 in there and an x plus 10. Which order you have them doesn't matter. Just each set needs to be there. Okay? (36x squared minus 11x minus 12). This one's fun. Fun. What are your options for A? Start with a nice ordered list. 2 and 18. Hey guys, I need this talking to stop, please. 4 and 9, 6 and 6. So when you see the number 36 show up on your paper, and I can't take out a GCF, like you die a little bit inside, because there's a lot of options there. A whole lot. All right, 12, we're going to have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Again, why my nice ordered list? I don't want to forget one of those options, okay? All right, so I got a lot of choices. If you know the right answer, I'm going to ask you to not say it out loud, okay? If you know what it is, don't tell me. Because I want to show you some wrong ways of doing this, if that makes sense, just so I can help teach you. When you're on your own and there's a lot of options, I want you to know kind of how to attack it the easiest way, okay? Remember, I'm lazy. I want you to be able to be lazy with me. So my last one is negative, so I know my signs are opposite. 1 plus, 1 minus. All right, pick an option, any option. 6 and 7, that's not an option. 6 and 6? Okay. So 6x and 6x. Again, sometimes when you start, it's a shot in the dark. You're just going to guess one and kind of run with it. So if I go 6 and 6, and I go to plug in my numbers, which one option you want over here? 3 and 4? If I put a 3 and a 4, what just happened? I have GCF sitting here. So even if I flip it, since these are both 6s, that's not going to work. So I can't be 3 and 4 with that. Could I put a 2 and a 6? Nope, because that's going to give me GCFs. Can I go 1 and 12? You go to GCF again. So what's that mean? 6 and 6 cannot work. Did you actually do any math yet? You eliminated checking all of that without doing any math. That's what I want for you guys, to be able to look at it and be like, no, that can't work. Like, don't waste your time doing a whole lot of distributing when you don't have to. All right, so we know 6 and 6 cannot work. Okay, another option. 4 and 9. We'll just kind of work our way up, huh? So if I go 4 and 9, okay, what option over there? 3 and 4? No GCF? No GCF. Okay, we got something we can actually check, right? We're okay so far. So if we check, we get 36x squared minus 16x plus 27x minus 12. Okay, so that's going to give me 36x squared plus 11x minus 12. Okay, numbers right, signs wrong. Switch your signs. That's the problem. And then it works. So a problem like this could have been an absolute nightmare. It really could have, because there's so many choices. But being able to recognize, wait, there's a GCF in there, that can't work, allows you to not have to do all the extra work to check those. Okay? Now, I do want to talk real quick. I know we never kind of came across it in this problem. But let's say I put the 3 and the 4 in, and it didn't work. Remember, it makes a difference what order they're in, correct? Now, we know the other order wouldn't work because it would put GCFs in there. But if you're at a problem where there's not GCFs either way, and you plug it in and it doesn't work, make sure you switch the last two and try it in that option. What I don't want you to do is to switch the last two and switch the first numbers, because you've switched it right back to what you just started with. Okay? For me personally, when I'm factoring, I plug my numbers in, I try it. If it doesn't work, I switch the last two. If it still doesn't work, I move on and I grab different numbers. I never flip-flop the first ones. Because if I flip-flop the first and I flip-flop the second, I just went right back to where I started. Okay? So, all right. Let's skip that one. That's an easy one. Let's jump to this one. 4x squared minus 16x plus 15. You want to try it on your own? Yeah, try it on your own. So kind of chatting with a couple of you there as you're working. Some of us are not getting the whole sign thing, so we need to pay attention. Guys, I need you to focus. I think half of our problem in here is you're not truly listening all the time. Some of you are zoning out or not really listening to me at all. Some of you right now are still not listening to me. All right, so if your last one's positive, when it says same signs, that means either both plus or both minus. The signs are the same, not the same as the problem, same as in they are the same sign as each other. okay? And the last one's negative, they're opposite. Not opposite of the problem, but as in opposite signs. One's a plus, one's a minus. Okay, I need you to get the signs right, because if those are wrong, everything else is going to be wrong. All right, so for this problem, my last one is positive. Are they both plus or are they both minus? Both minus, because if I have them both pluses, I'm never going to get a negative 16 in there. All right, options for A, we're going to have 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Options for C, 1 and 15, 3 and 5. So do we go 1 and 4 or 2 and 2? 2 and 2. So 2x and 2x. 1 and 15 or 3 and 5? 3 and 5. Okay. So if I go to check this, we get 4x squared minus 10x minus 6x. 2 negatives makes that a positive 15. Like terms gives me negative 16x. And that is exactly what I wanted, so I know that this is correct. Right, because they both started out 2x minus, so yeah, it did matter. How are we feeling? Like, I can't always read you guys. Some of you are like, yeah, I'm great. And some of you are like, yeah, I'm great. I haven't paid attention at all, but yeah, I'm good. You're there. Okay. All right.